Good evening. Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to see you today. It's nice seeing you today. Friday, October 29th, 2021. So it's always a pleasure to see you. My name is Jonan Kandwanaho, and I'm the Managing Director at Jonaki Holdings Limited. And at Jonaki Holdings Limited, we offer credit. We give loans, affordable credits, very accessible, and in a very, very short time. So you can always check us out on www.jonakiholdings.com for that service or any other related services. So it's great to have you. You're welcome on board. You are so welcome. We usually meet here every Friday from 5:30 to 6 p.m. and we talk about different subjects. But all the subjects that we talk about are related to business. As I've already said, iron sharpens iron. We therefore come here to sharpen each other. If there's something that I've learned, or if there's something that I know, then I come before you to share with you as you share with me. Because as a matter of fact, where you're at or where I am, I've learned from someone to get to where I am. And you must have learned from someone to get to where you are. So it's important that what we've learned, we actually transit it or share it, teach, or give it out to other people. And that's why I am here, so that I share with you. I've been sharing on different subjects, and you can always just look up on YouTube, type in Jonan Kandwanaho, and you see the different topics on YouTube that I've talked about. So I want to start with today's topic. Today we have quite an interesting topic, and that is none other than money lending as a business. As a matter of fact, almost everyone has ever lent money, or has ever been a money lender, or has offered credit. You've ever offered credit, whether interest-free or with interest, but you've ever given out money or lent money. Now, the difference that you have if you gave it out interest-free is what you have different from whoever gives it out with interest. But the rest of the things might be similar. So meaning that whereas there's a likelihood of someone defaulting on our side if we've given money with interest, there's also a likelihood that even if you give clients money, or if you give someone money interest-free, that's not an insulation from defaulting. You've not insulated yourself from defaulting as well. So there's a likelihood that someone could pay or could not pay. So you've lent money somehow. So my question to you is, if you've ever lent money, so why not even lend it out at interest? Even if it is small, even if it is slightly meager, it can still help. Or apart from that, if you know that you're lending out money that you can afford to lose, then you can continue lending at that level. So I want to define today's topic, money lending with integrity. With integrity. And I want to first define the keyword integrity. So integrity comes from the word integer, and integer means whole. If you've done your P1 or primary learning, so 1, 2, 3, integers are whole numbers. And integrity comes from the word whole, meaning that if you're integral, you are whole. If you're not integral, that means you're not whole. So you're partial. If you have one arm, you might not be integral in real sense of the word, because you're not whole. If the car has 3 tires, it is not integral, because it's supposed to be having 4 tires, so it's not whole. So same applies to integrity. So meaning that us as human beings, we are created to be integral. We are created to be whole. This might spill over to this spiritual aspect, but that's the gist of the matter. We are created to be whole. Meaning that if you do anything that is outside our wholeness, we are corrupted or we are not integral. So I relate it to the subject that we have today. Quite interesting. Money lending with integrity. I understand that money lending has received several abuses. It has received several bad words. It has received negative publicity. To the extent that even if someone is doing it as a business and is formally has it as the only source of income, is afraid to share it in different workshops, different fora, even with colleagues. Why? Because they connote it with different bad, ugly names. So it's not anywhere strange, it's not anywhere unique that you're feeling the way you're feeling. But you're feeling the way you're feeling because people have done it a different way. That even after some people have come up doing it the right way, it still has that bad, tainted image. And I want to challenge you that it is your responsibility as a money lender or as a credit giving institution that you explain your stand or you change the narrative on the industry. Because if you sit back and freak out and yet you're doing the right thing, who else is going to stand out on your behalf? It is us, me and you, if you have integrity, that we change the narrative on money lending. Because companies are running, institutions are running that give credit. And there are some that are integral. Granted, there are some that are sharks that, the intention is to foreclose or run on your property, but there are also some that are whole. There are also some that are integral. So until the right ones or until the integral ones come up and speak and share openly with the public, then we might not be able to clear off the image of this industry. We might not be able to clean the image of this industry. Now, it's important that what we speak is what we practice. Because speaking might come easy, but the actual doing, the action might be different. So that's why I challenge you, if you've ever lent money or if you lend money as a business or at an individual level, it's important that you look at it with that perspective. It's only then that you'll be proud that you're lending money. It's only then that you'll be proud to associate with what you're doing. And it's only then that we're going to turn the narrative of lending money. Apart from that, we might continue freaking out. We might continue not identifying with our businesses. We might continue leaving out the public to the hands of wrong characters, of wrong people, who lend money with the intention of foreclosing on the properties. For example, if I come for 50 million and my property is worth 500 million, someone who has bad intentions might look at all the clauses, all the ways through how he can make you fail to actually pay up and recover or return back your property. So meaning that if you land on the wrong person, it is important that you isolate yourself. So I want to present this in two categories. I will present on the side of the companies or individuals that have not formalized their businesses, and also present it on the side of the customers. So it will be a two-way traffic. That's how I intend to bring it out. So I want to stand on one scripture. It's in Proverbs chapter 13, verse 11. It says that dishonest money dwindles away, but whoever gathers money little by little makes it grow. And this is to the companies or individuals that lend money. If I give you money and my intention is to foreclose on your property, that is somehow dishonest money. It is actually dishonest money. It is dishonest money. It is dishonest. So meaning that if it is dishonest, it will dwindle away. You might shine for a moment, you might shine for a few days or a few months or a few years, but eventually it might catch up with you. So it's important. I like this scripture a lot. That whichever money that is earned dishonestly, dishonest money, it will dwindle away. But whoever gathers money little by little, if you genuinely work out your money little by little, and that calls for integrity, whoever gathers money little by little will make it grow. So you can only experience growth at an individual level. You can only experience growth. And not just this normal growth, but sustainable growth through lending money with integrity, or through doing the business that you're doing with integrity. Because that's when you can actually sustainably run it. That's how you can actually grow. But if you acquire it fraudulently, eventually it will dwindle away. So if you're thinking growth, if you're thinking sustainability, it's important that you orient yourself to that aspect. Now, if you're a non-believer, this could even be the opportunity to get saved as well, to convert from that side, because this is a fact. So on the side of the company, there are key things that you have to look at. First of all is the formalization. If I am here and I'm lending money and it's not formalized, that means I am not, first of all, I'm illegal. I am doing this thing illegally. So I am illegal in the first place. So in being illegal, I am not whole, because I defined the word integrity. Integrity means whole. It comes from the word integer. So I am not whole, because I am not legal. I know in 1 Timothy, I think, it's where it says that you give what to Caesar, what belongs to Caesar, and to God what belongs to God. You can look up that scripture. So meaning that if it's a requirement for the government that you pay taxes or that you formalize your business, it is a requirement. So you're meant to work with the government. So if you're an individual or a company and you've not formalized, it might curtail your growth. Apart from that, you might actually be countered or foreclosed by UMRA, Uganda Microfinance Regulatory Authority. So it's important. I know some of the things we think they're hard, they are tight. Some of them are not tight. They are not even expensive. To get a license is only 500,000, and there are a few requirements that they need. So what would it cost you to actually formalize your thing? I gave a testimony a while ago. I was also worried to formalize, because I knew the costs involved, like renting office, like getting a license, all these things, and I was transacting from my car. Or anywhere in a restaurant or somewhere. And there are some clients, there's some bracket of clients that I would not serve just because I was not formalized. There's some bracket of clients I would not serve. Because if a client has a property worth 500 million, it might be hard for him to actually entrust it with you if you do not have a physical address. If he has his car logbook and the car is precious or expensive, it might be hard to trust you. So there's a bracket of clients that you cannot serve just because you've not formalized your thing. Now, if you intend to grow, then you have to break through to that creme de la creme or good clients. Because you need to realize that even the clients that you might break into are the best clients. Now, if you're operating under, that illegal umbrella, that's when you even land on wrong clients. And that's how you, behold, get out of business. So in thinking that you're saving, you might actually working your way towards getting out of business. So it's important that you explore the different aspects, the requirements, and then you formalize your thing. So if you're lending without a license, if you're lending illegally, you're not integral. So if I say money lending with integrity, this should concern you. Work out a way on how you can formalize. It is very easy, it is doable. And then 2, if you are formalized, we have what we call income tax. 30% of what you earn is supposed to be handed over to the government. You give what belongs to Caesar, and you give what belongs to God. So you give what belongs to your company, and you give what belongs to your RA or to the government, The 30% does not belong to you. It is not yours. However huge it might be, it hurts, or it might press you. You can imagine if you've grown and you have to pay taxes worth 300 million as income tax. Do you know what that much can do for you? Now let us bring it closer. If you're paying taxes maybe of 30 million, do you know what that can do for you as well? Now if you bring it down, even if it's 10 million, it can still do much. But you need to have it in your mind that, at the end of the day, this man does not belong to you. So if you formalized, if you have a company fully registered and licensed, it's important that you actually pay taxes. If you do not pay taxes, then you're not integral. Let's not look at integrity in relating it to fraudulent activities, cheating the clients or foreclosing their properties when they've not, when they're almost paying, or participating in fraudulent acts or something like that. No. Even this other aspect is very important, and you need to consider it. So if you are there and you're registered, formally registered and licensed, it's important. And it's for your good. Because it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. If you are growing, it's a matter of when. Because eventually, URA will land on you and they'll give you a bill that you might not, at that point, be able to afford to pay. And the next sort of thing might be closing your company. The experience that I have is that the time as not paying taxes, I thought actually as saving. Because then I was not even doing the books of accounts. I was not having an accountant to check through my books. My accountant to check how I'm performing. I realized that somewhere, it even counters your growth. Because you may think you're progressing, but actually you're going down the drain, or you're going down the trend. Because you're trying to avoid something, you even forego some of the key aspects of business, like accounting. And yet, I reached a level where, as just, assuming, you assume, I think this year, let me just pay 2 million or 5 million or 3. You tend, these things happen. You tend to tell an accountant, I want to pay this bracket of money. And yet, if someone comprehensively analyzes your books, you can genuinely pay the money that you meant to pay according to the law. And you might actually, you might find that you're paying much than you'd have paid had you comprehensively analyzed your books of accounts and formalized your thing. So it's important that you look at something comprehensively. I want to share an experience that in lending money with integrity can actually increase your clientele as well. And I earlier shared, I think last Friday, on word of mouth. The word of mouth, how important it is in business. And I call it the talk triggers. And some of the businesses, especially lending money, thrives on referrals. Someone will trust you with their collateral. Someone will get money from you just because they know you. Just because a colleague referred them to you. Even if the other person whom they do not know lends at 2% per month, and for you lend at 5% or 8%, they will still come for higher interest just because they actually were referred by someone else who benefited of your service. So as a company, if you have that strategic perspective, it's important that you view it long range. Because you need to maximize on the word of mouth. You need to maximize on the referrals. As a matter of fact, most of the clients that have gleaned that Jonaki Holdings has actually collected has come from referrals. Just because you served someone well, refers a colleague. Refers a colleague. And you also have to work out a way how you can appreciate such people who actually refer you. That could be for another day, but yes, it's important. Because for such a referral, you need to appreciate it so that someone can get enticed or incentivized to actually refer you the more. Especially if you do not disappoint if someone refers someone else to you. So it's also good that you up your game. It's also good or important that you up your game so that when you're referred to, you do not let down the referral. It's like telling you that, you know what? That restaurant is very, very beautiful and it's very nice. They have nice food and all this kind of talk. And behold, I get there. The experience that I get, the food that I taste is actually different or contrary to what the other person who referred me to that restaurant told me about. So it's important that we're up to the words that are said of you. And you can only do that if you are integral. It is a key, among others, it's a key aspect. Key aspect. The other final thing on the side of the company is being critical of the fraudsters. Realize that if you're not fully formalized, if you're not fully registered, you're too prone to fraudsters. Even if you're fully registered, you're also too prone to fraudsters. So meaning that if you're running your thing with integrity, it also can shield you from fraudsters, because then you'll explore the better clientele. You'll explore the better clientele. And it will save you from lots of fraudsters. A lot of fraudsters. Now I'll go to the side of the clients. I see our time is fast spent. So I'll go to the side of clients. Now, this is the key thing for the clients. It is important that before you go to get money, because the only difference that we have, the tier 4 microfinance institutions or money lenders, the only difference that they have is that we give money quick than the banks. That whereas the bank might take 3 months or 1 month or how long, I could actually take 4 hours to give you money. And you can imagine if I have a consignment at the border post and I have to clear it, because if I do not, I have to pay damage, I have to pay, all of their costs, URA costs of having my consignment there. And yet if I clear this consignment, I could actually sell and pay back. And then behold, you go to the bank and they tell you, you know what, we can only process your loan in 4 months or 3 months. You can imagine the damage or the cost that you can actually incur on the warehouses alone as the consignment is there. There could be a deal of land and it's hot and it's too affordable, and you expect to get gratuity or you expect to get some money somewhere, but it hasn't come through. And you're very, very certain that actually this money eventually will come through. So that's where the tier 4 microfinance institutions and money lenders come into picture. Because the banks might toss you back and forth for a longer period of time and the deal can actually land in someone else's hands. So such quick things are the ones that will come in handy to actually support you so that you can actually have them closed or have them acquired. So what am I saying here is that it's important that you as a client highlight to him your intention to borrow money, because or else you're not integral, because you're a fraudster or you want to steal. 2, how you can help yourself as well is that whereas there are money lenders or credit institutions that are not integral, it's also important that the clients understand what it is that governs such institutions before you get credit from them. Because there are some things that affect us just because we do not know the law. Because I do not know that, if I get a loan, I don't have to transfer or write a sale agreement or something like that. So it's important that you acquaint yourself with the law. We have the Money Lenders Act and the regulations, 2018. So you need to read. The key thing is information. If you don't have access to the information, it's important that you up your game and get this accessible information. Because you need it. You need it like yesterday. You need it like yesterday. It's also important that whereas you're on pressure to get this money, whereas you're on pressure as a client to get this money, it's important that you acquaint yourself with what is written in the document. You have the audacity to query every clause or any clause in the document that you're given to sign. But because you're in a hurry, I need money, I'm on pressure, what? You don't even read, you just, where do I sign? Where do I sign? What are you signing? If I may ask. What are you signing? Especially if you're not a return client, if you've not interacted with that company before. What is it that you're signing? So it's important that you acquaint yourself with what it is that you're signing. With what it is that you're signing. The key aspect that you could also highlight on the side of the client here is communication. Things happen. If you invest in a business, it doesn't go well. That's not a crime. Communicate with the lender. And that's what has partly tainted our image. You take money from me. You come while, running to me, requesting and all things, promising heaven and earth. At the end of the day, when things move well, you're no longer picking the calls. What is that supposed to insinuate? Isn't that a fraudulent activity? It is fraudulent. So it's important that you communicate, because things go haywire. Things get out of hand. And every business person actually understands that. So you do not have to crucify yourself or hide. And actually, most of the guys who hide are genuine because they are not used to such. But it's important that you communicate, because communication is very pertinent. So meaning that you as a client, if you do not communicate, you're not integral. That means the intention with which you borrowed that money was different. You wanted to fraudulently obtain that money. Or perhaps you wanted to steal that money if I don't polish it up or make it decent. That's the thing. Because if you came to me and you wanted money and begging and requesting and promising all these things, why on earth would you not pick the calls? Why on earth would you not come and say, you know what, things didn't move well, this is where I stand? Like for COVID, if it happened, it happened. No one can say that he's not seen the effects of COVID, especially in business. So why not get back and forth and negotiate and work out a way forward? Rather than making the calls busy, rather than blocking the callers, rather than running away from, you're not picking the calls. So it's not integral on the side of the clients. Unless someone comes specifically to fraudulently obtain the money, but if you're a person who is genuine, if you're a person who is integral, it's also important to you as a client that you actually keep lines of communication open between you and the financial institution. That also will help a long, long way in clearing the image of the money lenders or tier 4 microfinance institutions and banks. So communication is very, very key. So I see our time is fast spent. As I conclude, we learn from others, as I shared in the opening statement. We learn from others. As a matter of fact, I'm also feeding from someone. I have a mentor. Someone who has done it and has done it better. Someone who has been in the industry for a while. Someone who is at a level where I aspire to be. So it's important, and this might actually cut across all businesses. It might not apply to money lending alone. It might cut across. You need to relate. You need to fall under someone who is ahead of you. You can call them a mentor, you can call them a coach, you can call them whichever term, you can call them, but get someone who is where you want to be, who is actually doing the very thing that you are doing. You'll save yourself a lot of things. Sometimes practical experience is very costly. If you do a transaction and it costs you 70 million, it might get you out of business. If your scale is low, or if you're small scale, it could be 10 million, but you could get out of business. And yet, if you learn from someone who has been there, he or she could share their experience, and it could save you a lot of time and a lot of money. Granted, some of the mentors, some of the coaches charge, and actually some of their rates are really high. Pay that charge and you won't regret. Pay that cost and you won't regret. A few guys that have mentored, a few guys that have supported, a few guys that I've walked this journey with have appreciated in the long run. Because there are some experiences that I've gone through that they might not have gone through. And if it comes new, they might likely actually head on with the same situation. So what would it cost you to humble yourself or humble yourself and get under someone who has actually walked the journey that you're walking and holding your hand? And that's a big, big, big challenge. And I actually did a full teaching or sharing on that aspect. This actually cuts across all businesses. So it's important that you get someone who is in that industry, who is doing the very thing that you aspire to do, so that you can walk the journey successfully. Yes, hard cons might come on the way, hard things might come on the way, hard rocks might come on the way, but it might not be as it could have been had you got a mentor, had you got someone who actually is doing the actual thing that you aspire to do or that you're doing. So it's important that you get yourself under someone as a mentor. Very, very finally, I run masterminds on money lending. If you so wish, you can enroll on a mastermind. And we walk this journey and we see how we can clear this image and also serve the public. It's always a pleasure to have you. I see our time is fast spent. I always look forward to sharing with you. And I look forward to having you next Friday, 5:30 to 6 p.m. Thank you guys for tuning in. I see Saith, you've always been there. I see Lynette, pleasure to have you. I see you guys. So it's always a pleasure to have you. And as I've always shared, if you get one or two things and you do not implement them, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. So learn one or two things and go and implement. Actions, aspirations without actions, or faith without action is dead. If you learn these things and did not act on them, they will vanish from your head and they will not benefit you. You'll have wasted your time to come here. You'll have wasted your data to watch live stream. And you'll have even wasted my time. So it's important that you learn one or two things and you go and implement. Learn one or two things, go and implement. And share with colleagues and support colleagues. We are here. Business is such a lonely journey sometimes. So we need to support each other. We need to work with each other so that we can transform our nation and the world. So I love you guys. I wish you the best of a Friday and the rest of the weekend. Enjoy your evening. God bless you. Cheers. I love you guys. Bye.